join the ranks.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Ethan Merritt from GI Jobs, and today I was inspired to get out of the office, grab my ruck from our Influencer of the Month, Nick Bear. Nick was a prior infantry officer just like myself. He spent 4 years in the Army, he went to Ranger School, he was on a deployment, and now he runs a successful supplement company called Bear Performance Nutrition. Make sure to check out his company, the rest of the article below, but for now, he's gonna answer some questions that you guys had about transitioning out of the military and his process from where he started to where he is now. Thanks again, guys, for everything that you do. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel and share the video if you like Nick. He's an awesome guy. He will keep you inspired and he'll keep you motivated. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.
So my name is Nick Bear. I am the owner of Bear Performance Nutrition, or BPN Sups, and we are located down here in Central Texas. I spent 4 years active duty Army infantry officer stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. When I was in high school, I was probably about a sophomore or junior in high school, and my first cousin, he joined the military. He went infantry, and he joined when it was very kinetic. And when it was very kinetic, he was going to Iraq, to Afghanistan, and I would see him leave and then come home from all these deployments, come home on R&R, and I saw the way he changed as a person throughout. The values he adapted into his lifestyle, the man he became, and the way he was respected by the community, his friends, family, and I just had the most respect for my cousin at this time. And I saw the way he changed and the man he became, and I said, wow, I want to be like that. I want to be that person. He was a role model for me. So I started taking the steps and the initiation to pursue that. So I applied for a National Army ROTC scholarship, went through the process, and I was awarded that scholarship and went to the Indiana University of Pennsylvania on that full scholarship under an ROTC contract. After graduating from IUP, or Indiana University, with a 4-year degree and a degree in nutrition, I was first sent to Fort Benning, Georgia, because I was an infantry officer. So I spent about a year in Fort Benning, where I did the infantry officer basic course, I did Ranger School, Airborne School, Bradley Leader course, and after being in Fort Benning for a year, I was sent to Fort Hood, where I was a platoon leader. And I was a platoon leader for about 2 years with the same platoon, which was a great experience, great opportunity. I took that platoon to South Korea for a 9-month rotation, came back with them, and then transitioned out to become a full-time entrepreneur. What was the transition process like, and what resources did the military provide? So I had to go through a transition process from military life to civilian life that the military, the Army provided. That was a few months, a few courses, a few classroom studies, stuff like that. And it was great for a lot of people. But I was on kind of a different path. So I started my company, my business, when I was in college before going active duty. And when I was in the military, I sustained, grew, and built that company with my team. So that when I was transitioning out of the military, I had systems in place. I had a business established that was built. So the process of me transitioning out of military to civilian was a little different from a lot of people. But I did find a lot of resources within the community of people that already transitioned out. So I had some friends, some family that transitioned out of the military into the civilian sector, that owned businesses, that were entrepreneurs, that knew the space, and the resources they provided me, just with knowledge, just as a mentor. A lot of mentors helped me into that space, which truly helped me tremendously. The process to have a business while in active duty. So the way I first got this started was because I started my business when I was in college before going active duty. I did have to get approval from a professor of military science in ROTC. I had to get approval from him because I started the business with a small loan through USAA, the bank that's associated with the military. So I had to get approved for the small loan, and to get approved, I had to go through my professor of military science. So that was kind of the first piece of chain of command that got involved in the business. He was super supportive, and it was the beginning stages of that company. And in the first couple of years I was in the military, I was just trying to keep that business afloat. There weren't many sales. There wasn't that much revenue. There wasn't a very time-demanding amount of volume of customers or orders coming through from the supplement side. And we really started to scale towards the end of it. But at every phase of my military career within those 4 years, I always had to get approval through my chain of command, my commanders, battalion commanders, company commanders, and getting approval from them to do that on the side. Like the military, the Army, my platoon leader position was always priority. But as soon as I got off of work and went home, that was my side project. That's what I was doing. That's what I was working on. How did I start my business, and how did social media help that? So the story I like to tell is I went to, it was called LDAC at the time, Leadership Development Assessment course in Fort Lewis, Washington, between, I believe it was my junior and senior year of college, where you get assessed for 30 days with the other cadets, the other ROTC cadets in the nation. And I went to this assessment camp and I scored very well. All my leadership evaluations were really good at the time. And I came back from this camp with this newfound confidence of management and leadership capabilities. And I wanted to start this business because I was going to school for nutrition. I was already making my own supplements for myself, not for other people. So I heard about this loan option, this pre-commissioning loan with USAA for $20,000. And a lot of the other guys in my school or my peers were taking this loan out and going on vacations or buying engagement rings or buying new cars. I took this loan out and I started a company. And that just kickstarted everything. I spent all that money on inventory and I went into this blind. Like I was naive. I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship or starting a business or scaling a business for that matter. And I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of failures, and I learned a lot along the way. So everything I learned and everything that happened from that beginning stage to where I'm at now was learned from some hard times, some hard knocks. And those failures, those losses, and those wins kind of put me in the trajectory of where I'm sitting today with a successful business. And it was a lot of work. It was a lot of hard work. And it took about 4 to 5 years for us to be in the green, to be profitable. The first 3 years were really, really difficult. But what helped us was social media. So with social media, I started the company, went active duty military, and after being at Fort Benning, I came to Fort Hood. And when I got to Fort Hood, my unit was in Germany at the time. And I was just kind of waiting for them to come back and take over a platoon. And during that time, I decided to start a YouTube channel. So I started just documenting my fitness and nutrition journey just to share with other people, just for a hobby. And that turned into gaining some subscribers and followers. And I was doing this for about 2 years. And at the time of 2 years, I had about 30,000 subscribers on YouTube and some followers on Instagram. YouTube was the primary platform that I focused on. And I made this video when I was in South Korea, and it was a day in the life of an infantry platoon leader. And it kind of just took off. It had like 1 million views within 30 to 60 days, something like that. And my subscribers on YouTube went from 30,000 to 80,000 in a 30-day period. And I saw this kick. And when I got to Korea, that was kind of the first time I started incorporating military stories and talking about Ranger School and talking about being a platoon leader, never sharing anything that was OPSEC, and everything was always cleared by my chain of command. But I started just documenting my process of where I was at, what I was doing, and it started picking up a lot of traction. I found this niche within an industry, the supplement fitness industry, that was saturated, but I found this small niche in there. And my social media platform kind of just became me documenting my time in the military, learning how to grow and scale a business, and then from a fitness perspective, like how I was training, what I was eating, what I was working towards, how I was training, how I was eating, stuff like that. And with the use of social media and building a brand and being in the military, those three things, leadership and management from my time in the military was directly correlated to owning and running a business. A lot of the same systems and SOPs could be adapted from one place to the other. And the combination of those principles helped me build and scale my business to where it's at today. If I could go back and change one thing about the transition process, or one thing at all throughout the whole process in general, when I was trying to build my business, when I was trying to scale my business and times were really difficult, I never wanted people to know that. I would always hide those from social media or the online community or my friends and family, and I would kind of keep those inside, just I hope we get through this part when I was trying to build the business, when I was trying to scale it. And if I could go back, those are the moments that I wish I would have shared more of. I would have documented more. I would have taken more photos of those moments and journaled about how exactly I felt, so that I could share that with other people that are going through the same thing, that are going through the same transition of whether it's the military into civilian life, or leaving their corporate position into being an entrepreneur, or going off on their own and trying to pursue their passion. My biggest piece of advice and things that I would have changed is embrace those times when you're struggling and share that with other people, because people can relate to that, and everyone's going to go through those failures if you're trying to do something big. The advice that I give people that are transitioning out of the military right now is have a plan. At least have a plan that you have steps in place to reach that plan or that goal. Because when I was transitioning out, a lot of my soldiers, they wanted to get out just to get out, and they didn't have a plan. And there were kind of two scenarios. One group of soldiers didn't have a plan, and one had a goal or somewhere where they wanted to be, but they didn't know how they were going to get there. It was just this thing that they wanted to obtain, but there were no steps in place on how to get there. So my biggest piece of advice to anyone transitioning out is literally get a whiteboard. Get a whiteboard and put it in your room. And on the left side of that whiteboard, put where you're at today. And on the right side of the board, put where you want to be, what you want to be doing, how much money you want to be making, what job you want to have, where you want to be living. And in between there, you have to establish a plan of how you're going to get from point A to point B. Backwards planning, things you learn in the military, operational planning. Take where you're at and where you want to be and fill the gap in the middle of what you have to accomplish, what you have to plan to do, and what you have to succeed at in order to get from point A to point B. Use backwards planning and establish a plan before you get started.